Hey guys,
Hello.
I'm here with Yvonne and we're going to be talking just a little bit about growing up as brown kids in the West and talking about like doing the arts together.
That's it. The creative industry, what the challenges have been.
Exactly.
What we love about it. The nitty gritty, no details barred,
Yeah. You know what? Let's just start. This is Yvonne and he is
Hi guys.
an actor and a legal professional, which is pretty amazing. So do you want to talk a little bit about your background?
Sure. So I did my law degree and I finished that a few years ago and working in the legal sector, in compliance. But I always felt that I always wanted to perform and be in the acting industry, entertainment industry. And then I started doing some like community plays, stage plays, theatre and short films. Then I decided to go to acting school.
Yeah.
And then, things took off from there a little bit,
So how long ago was this?
So the journey started early 2016, so 2 years ago. Yeah.
That's actually really similar to me. I think I started putting music publicly out there 2 years ago as well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
But have you always loved acting? Like, when did you sort of realize that was your thing?
I think I think I've had a passion for it since I was a kid.
Okay.
But I kind of formally realized it, I think, 2 years ago. So, like, when I was a kid, like, we'd have drama in school, right? Or plays that our class was putting on. And I would really get into the characters. Or even, like, as a grown-up, right?
Yeah.
Like, when I hit my teens or late, like, post-teenage years.
So good.
Oh, good. Yeah. So, we'd really get into it and I'd make everybody, like, play different characters. And I felt like it was always a calling for me, like, but I never realized in my head until recently that, what? This is something that I really love doing.
Yeah.
Why not pursue it as a practice?
Yes.
That makes sense.
And then that's when you decided to go to acting school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought to myself, you know what? I've been talking about this for years and years that in a few years when I'm ready, I'm going to go to drama school. I'm going to, learn acting, blah, blah, blah. Then I thought to myself, when will I go? When I'm 85?
Oh my gosh.
Why not start?
That's powerful.
Why not start today? And and I won't say the journey has been smooth sailing, but I wouldn't change anything for the world.
Yeah.
It's been amazing.
What is it about acting that draws you in? What do you think it is?
I think it's a three-pronged thing. One is that I love becoming somebody else. I just love totally transform into a totally different character and contrast, whether it's like a happy character or sad character, evil or nice, whatever it is. And B, I really love connecting with people and telling stories. And I like telling authentic stories, whether it's...
He's amazing at telling stories, by the way. He's so good.
He's too kind, guys. He's too kind.
Like, he will crack you up, like, legit.
So, I love that. Like before. We were losing it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like, and also I do, like I love telling stories and I love connecting with an audience, and that's what drives me, really.
Yeah.
What about you? I mean, tell me a bit about you. Like, how did you get started with the music stuff?
Okay, so I think a lot of you guys already know this, but I started singing when I was like 4 years old. Obviously Indian background. So I grew up with music, and I grew up with like classical Indian music, and my whole family's super musical. But it wasn't until maybe like 2.5 years ago where I was sort of like, I should do this more seriously.
Yeah.
And it was I've always sung, like I've always performed in public, but like I didn't really take it seriously as a thing till like 2.5 years ago.
I get it.
Yeah.
And at that point, when you started taking it seriously, what were the steps you sort of took? Like, what did you tell yourself that, has to happen now, or?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've kind of just winged the entire thing. Like, I sort of went through a period 2 years ago where I had this like dream job and it didn't really turn out to be a dream job. So I moved back home for a bit and I was like really depressed. And then as usual, I just kind of turned to music and like put up just one cover on YouTube. And then when I did that, for some reason, I was like...
Felt amazing, right?
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why, but I just gotta keep doing this. And it's just evolved into something that I like never thought it would evolve into.
That happiness, it's almost like a drug, isn't it? Like, oh wow, exhilaration.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, but I can't actually pin down what
One
it is.
moment. It must have been a combination of things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with anything creative, it's like, I didn't really plan it too much. Like, I just kind of let it turn into whatever it needed to turn into.
For sure.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I mean, even though like I planned to go to acting school, but I felt like it just happened spontaneously when I least expected it. I wasn't expecting to like go and do some training or try out for things like that. It just sort of randomly, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And let me ask, you were in development, I remember that. Can you tell us a bit more about that sort of stuff?
Yeah, so basically my biggest passion is international development work, and why am I freezing up? I'm just like, no coffee.
No,
international
fine.
development work, and like that's kind of where I want to head, like long term as well.
Right.
And I was like in Mumbai for a year, and then I did my MBA, and I was like, it was all about
Amazing.
development work. And
She has a killer CV, guys, by the way. Like, if you read what she's achieved, like, not only musically, but also professionally. Oh,
thank you.
man.
But I think what's really cool is kind of seeing how music fits into the whole thing about women's empowerment and like impact, and like how it's possible to take like a music video and represent like brown girls and kind of be like, this is my way of also making impact.
Definitely.
Not just through like the work that I'm doing.
That really resonates with me on many levels because, like, music is such a powerful tool and it's an amazing medium. I mean, think of all those bands or singers that we followed since we were kids, right? Like, a lot of them had great messages, like,
Absolutely.
like, you know, like including the girl bands, like Spice Girls. Back then it was girl power. Not to compare them,
Sure.
but or like, you know, John Legend, like his lyrics are so meaningful. Like,
Yeah.
you don't actually just listen to the music, but you actually listen to him. You're like, what's he
And the
saying?
feeling and
Do you know
like
what
how
I mean?
it makes you feel.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what artist, but like, and I think that you've chosen a path where you can put across your messages and empower people, but also along the way continue your development. Like, I was just saying that Amritha was telling me about 15 minutes ago about how she is it okay if I tell them?
Yeah.
So that she feels that development is a part of who she is, right?
Right.
And so is the music. And I was saying that how many people do we know that work in development and work in music? Those two things can complement each other. And I think that's an amazing thing.
And it's cool.
It's unique as well.
It is unique, and I think
It can brand you, help you brand.
I think the interesting point about that is like we're often told like if you want to succeed in music or the arts, you have to choose that and that only, and like forget about everything else. And there's just so many like things we hear and like little just rules that may or may not apply to us. And it's sort of like find what the path is that works for you and makes you happy, and like go with that.
I would say like make your own rules. Like, you know, why does it have to be one thing or the other, or why does it have to be standards that someone else has set in the industry?
Yeah.
Why can't we create our own path, like you said? You know.
Yes.
And
Agreed.
Yeah.
So can we talk about the elephant in the room?
The challenges, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, let's do that. If you want, I can start off.
Start off.
So,
Go for it.
okay, so when I came into the industry 2 years ago, like, I was still fresh, still new, sort of like getting into it and everything in terms of acting and stage plays. But then I started auditioning. So, like, once I finished acting school, I got myself a agent, and
You got yourself an agent? I didn't know you had an agent.
Oh, right, for myself.
That's amazing.
Maybe we didn't cover it. Christy Howell, management of, she's based in Brisbane, but she submits people for Sydney and Melbourne.
Wow.
And she is an amazing agent. She's submitted me for many commercials, like TV ads like KFC, Toyota, a whole heap of stuff,
my
right?
God.
But what I realized along the way is she's amazing, and I've been grateful for her help. But the thing is that I realized that it's so competitive.
It is really competitive.
It is competitive. Like, you might think that you're the only brown guy in that room, but you'll see like maybe 10 others who look a bit similar, or they might be a bit different, but like, and you don't know who's gonna get it, you know?
Can I ask you on that? Do you think it's a little bit harder as a brown guy in Australia in the acting industry?
It definitely
You think
is.
there's still barriers to that?
It definitely is. I think things have gotten better compared to before.
Sure.
I mean, 10, 13 years ago, like if you're a brown guy, you couldn't even consider going into acting or getting an agent.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah, but now in the media, like in TV ads and some TV shows, you see a brown guy here and there. I think we do have a long way to go, guys, but it's getting there.
It's changing.
It's changing.
It's changing.
Landscape is changing. I think it's kind of better overseas, like in the UK or the US, where there's a lot more diversity on screens. But the good thing about Australia is that they're making a conscious effort to try and make things more diverse, and they're having discussions about it with big organizations that are entertainment related.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah.
And
but it's hard.
I think on that point as well, like both of us kind of moved to Australia when we were like babies, and like back then as well, immigration wasn't like a massive thing. So I don't know about you, but I was like often like the only brown girl in my class. and like
Yeah,
it was
I relate to that.
yeah, it was challenging, and it kind of like only now when I look back on it, I realize like what a complex situation that was for like a young
Definitely.
person to grow up with.
Definitely. And I was living in Western Australia before, Perth, before living where I am now. So back in Perth, in the late 90s, I was the only brown kid in the entire school. Everybody else
Oh
was
my
white.
gosh, yeah.
And, you know, I'll be honest, there was racism as well.
Of
like,
course.
yeah. Like, kids would say to me, oh, we can't play with you because you're black and that's bad luck.
What?
And we were like 10 years old.
Dude.
And I realize now that the kids were not, it didn't come from within themselves.
Right.
They must have been taught
They
that by their
learned it.
parents, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
no child is just like racist as it grows up. It's
I've
like,
been very blessed that in my adult life I haven't really experienced much racism.
Yeah.
But as a kid, living
It's
in Western
rough.
Australia, oh my god, back then,
yeah,
it wasn't multicultural that much, and it was quite racist.
such a struggle.
And even if, like, you know, just on the racism thing, even if they don't say anything, but the way they look at you, you sort of pick up on things.
yeah,
And I think people need to be aware of that, you know?
it's like those like just subtle things that you can't really explain to another person unless
You're in that shoe.
Right,
You're in the shoes.
right. Yeah.
100%. But tell me about some challenges in the music industry. What's it been like for you?
So I'm gonna say I think I want to talk a little bit about just like convincing my parents that like what I'm doing kind of makes
Oh, yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, and I think this is sort of generally the case with like Asian parents, but it's kind of like, hey, like you're doing the arts and like that makes no sense. Like arts is a hobby and like we can't really support you on this. And it's like I think almost getting them to come on board with it has been probably the most challenging thing.
Yeah, I think when I first started the acting stuff, my mum and dad
Ray.
thought, you know, like, it's a hobby, but just make sure you focus on, you know, your career and everything.
Yes.
And fair enough, but and then I thought to myself in my head that, yeah, mum and dad, I agree, you got to focus on my career, but it's more than a hobby. It's
passion.
It's passion. You took the words out of my mouth. I swear, this is like my soul twin. Okay, can I just break this up for a second and let the audience know how we met?
Yes.
Okay, we got a story. So, in the area that we live in, we grew up, right? And we never really like crossed paths full on, but we went to high school, and the local train station, we would see each other and we'd smile at each other when we were like teenagers or like kids, but we wouldn't actually. Sorry, we wouldn't actually say
I was so shy back then. Like I
And
just
maybe-
didn't talk to boys at all.
And yeah, and like I don't know, we just like so see each other and smile as kids, right? But we wouldn't say anything. But then, you know what happened? We grew up. Okay, so basically, one day at the train station, like we're both grown up. This is like a year ago.
Maybe
At least a
a
year and a half
years
ago.
ago,
Yeah, a year and a half ago. And then we were smiling. We were both smiling at each other again. We were smiling at each other again, and then I think we just started messaging each other on like Insta, like, or I think I started following you, and then she's like, hey you, and then we started talking about how we know each other but we don't know each other. So then we're like, you know what, let's actually make a point to catch up. And then things took off. I found such a good friend.
It's kind of crazy how things work out that way.
And we know a lot of the same people.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm Bangladeshi, she's Indian background, Tamil background, and we know a lot of people. Like, just wow, it's such a small world. If you're brown, it's small.
It's like
It's
1 degree of separation. If
literally
you're
1
brown,
degree.
basically. Yeah.
But I feel blessed because, like, you know, our journeys have been similar in some ways, and like, you know, we're both like. I see us as accomplished professionals, and we want to pursue creativity.
So positive. This guy, like when I talk to him, it feels so much better.
I feel so motivated when I talk to her, and I just love making her laugh. Even she laughs at my lame jokes as well, which makes me feel good. But what I was going to say was that, look, something that's been challenging to me, and you guys might relate to this, those of you who are in the creative industry, is that it really seems to be a lot about networking as well. Maybe I haven't gotten around to doing much of that, but I've noticed that people in the industry, a lot of people sort of tend to favor people they know or people they're mates with, and that's fair enough. I mean, it's natural. Like, you know, if you know someone really well and you know their talents, you know, I understand some people might be like, you know what, I know this person, they can deliver.
Yeah.
I'll take them on board. But then that leaves the rest of us out who are just starting out.
It is a little bit, I don't want to use this word, but there's like a bit of nepotism. Like it's about like...
There really is.
Who you know versus like talent. And I think
really
I've
is
noticed
like that.
a little bit.
I've sometimes felt a bit down about that. I'm like, you know, I know there are many talented actors out there, but I'm like, you know what, I've got something to offer as well. But that's been a bit of a downer for me, you know? Like, not only is it competitive out there, but also people tend to favor people they know, you know. But do you feel like it's like that with the music industry too, a little bit?
So I think I
What about
don't really
acting?
network much at all.
I honestly,
am
have
I'm
not
a
networked much at all.
I also like, I feel like this is probably a very like not very good way to approach it, but like the only thing I'm caring about right now is just writing the EP rather than like thinking about how to get it out there, which may work not in my favor, because you're right. I think it's all about who you know and who's like able to promote you.
I mean, it's a reality that we have to face. Yeah. But you know, we'll get there. Like, I want to start producing some content, and on her specific advice, that's producing some content to get some stuff out there, so people can see the different range I can have as actor. But I do hear you. You want to focus on like the quality of the EP
and
all
the
that.
creation process. I think what bogs me down is not creating, but rather than like having to be promoting all the time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of creatives feel that way, because it's like, that's not what I do. Like, what I'm doing is creating. Like, why do I have to also care about social media and like that sort of thing?
And I realized, like, in acting school, I think towards the end, when they talked to us about marketing ourselves, they said that, you know, besides the creativity, we need to think of ourselves as a business. That we want to...
Say that again, Yvonne. That's awesome.
Okay, so I went to Screenwise acting school, and what Denise Roberts, the head of the school, told me was that, you know, you guys, your creativity is great, but you need to think of yourself as a business and market yourself so that, you know, that agents might choose you. That, okay, you know what, she's got something to offer. We can take them in this ad, or we can take them in this film, because, you know, they can see your range, right?
Yeah.
And you need to think of yourself as, I need to sell myself. And, you know, the reality is that as creative professionals, we need to sort of become marketers. Like, it's hard.
You're
I haven't
100% right.
I haven't done
Yeah,
it much
I agree with
myself,
you.
but I need to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can market ourselves, because it's, you know, like on Instagram, hashtags, all that stuff. Like, and I think you already market yourself really well. Like, I love your posts.
Exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Like, for me,
it takes up more time than the music, doesn't
Yeah.
it? It does, and I hear that, you know. But what was it like for you growing up in Australia, like in the late 90s and stuff? Did you experience any racism? Sorry to go back to that topic.
No, okay.
I'm just curious about your experience.
Yeah, no, I absolutely did. And it's so weird. Like, I was thinking about this the other day, but like, the reason the racism that I felt like back then felt a lot more intense was because I think I kind of believed what was being told to me, like things like you're brown and therefore you're disgusting. And in my head, I think a part of me was like, yeah, I'm brown, therefore I'm disgusting. And like now, as like a young woman who's like super passionate about like just brown girl power in general, totally. It's kind of like, I look back on that and I'm like, if someone were to say that to me now, I would know that they are just incorrect and uninformed, and like it's my responsibility to like treat them with love and be like, that's just not true.
And
it's not mine to take
I hear that. And you know what? Some things get internalized over time.
Yes.
Like, okay, really embarrassing to admit, but like even a few years ago, I noticed that I used to filter my photos a lot to look a bit more fairer. I don't know if any Indians or brown people can relate to that.
I feel like so many people relate to that.
But you know, like, I don't do that anymore. Like, if it's a funny filter, like a Snapchat filter, fine. But I tend not to filter anything anymore. I'm like, you know what? I have to embrace my brown skin.
Yes.
God gave, those of us who are believers, God gave us this brown, beautiful skin, and we need to love it. We need to love ourselves.
No.
But seriously, guys, like, you know, but it's a real, like, it's not a major issue, but it's like, I thought to myself, why am I filtering?
Yes.
I'm like, okay.
You don't realize it.
You don't realize it. It becomes second nature.
You call yourself out.
It becomes second nature because you're just using social media, everybody uses filters, but then you're like, why am I using the lightning filters? So I'm like, okay, I need to stop that.
Yes.
If it's a nice filter, use it, but then, you know, just embrace.
You know you're doing it in a way that's like self-loving.
Yeah.
Rather than
exactly.
like, I'm trying to edit myself.
Exactly. And I think we need to embrace all types of skin. And I gotta say this, even in the brown community, I feel like there's some racism as well.
Oh my gosh.
I just touch
sure.
because it's related to the skin thing. Like, if someone's more lighter colored, like a girl, especially back in India maybe, or Bangladesh, more so than here, like, she might get more marriage proposals. But if a girl's darker, she doesn't get that many, and it's not fair.
And just like little things that they used to tell us, like even
but
just
I think
like
those attitudes come here too,
totally.
little bit.
Dude, absolutely agree with that.
Yeah. You were saying?
Even just little things like, oh, don't stay out in the sun, or you like.
Oh
you'll
yeah,
get
or
dark.
you'll become black
Yeah,
or dark.
yeah. Those are just like the little like micro things that you hear growing up, and you're kind of like, oh, does that mean that like being brown is not good? And you're like,
Yeah. Or it's like, you know, it could be said like this: don't play in the sun because of UV rays, cancer, or whatever. But like, you'll become dark.
you'll become dark.
Dark.
Like, no, that's not the right.
Dark is delicious. Well, I was gonna say black is beautiful, but I thought, you know what, dark is
I
all.
kind of love dark is delicious.
Dark is
That
all
amazing.
encompassing. Call me the Dark Prince.
Oh my god.
Dark Devi.
Okay.
Dark Devi. Devi means goddess, by the way.
There you go. This is
Sorry, guys.
standard conversation.
I said to myself, like last night, that, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do a live thing with Amritha. I have to behave myself and not embarrass her. I did not keep that promise at all. At all. But I'm having so much fun.
This is amazing. And I have to go. So, like, we have to wrap it up.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys, but thank you
thanks for
so much
joining
for joining us.
us. Yeah.
I really enjoyed connecting with you
This was
guys.
great.
Amritha, thanks for having me along for your
Oh my
live
God,
session.
Of course.
You know?
We've got to do this more regularly, I think. I think it's just really fun talking about some of these issues.
Everything that's
Yeah.
on our minds. So, guys, my name's on Instagram. My name's Ivan Kazi, IVANQAZI. Feel free
Go
to follow.
follow him.
Feel free to
He's
follow,
amazing.
message, and stick with this girl because she's the Dark Devi. She's
And remember,
magic.
dark is delicious.
Dark is delicious.
All right, peace. And we'll just chill.
We just chill.
What's up? We started DNMing, which is like a Australian word for deep and meaningful. So it's just how we roll, really.
Yeah. You got 98%. Where is the 2%? Here down under, chilling by a beautiful lake, and then. Sorry.
Just like the standard thing that every brown kid hears.
I love it.
Yeah, I don't know how to turn this off, so just wait while I awkwardly do this.
No
Okay,
problem.
and